Okay.
Hello and welcome. My name is Catherine Walters, and I'm the host of the Joyful Youth Telesummit. I'm an intuitive healer and joy coach, and in my business, Guided Change, I help people who are stressed and overwhelmed feel more joyful and happy. And I am so excited because I get to bring to you 22 amazing experts who are here to share their tips, tools, and strategies about how all of us can experience more joy, happiness, energy, fun, play, vitality, and laughter. So today joining me is Srikumar Rao, and I might maybe mispronounce that, so please correct me later. So Srikumar is a speaker, an author, a former business school professor, and the creator of a special program called the Creativity and Personal Mastery, CPM. This is a course designed to effect personal transformation. He's also the author of bestsellers. Here are the titles. Are You Ready to Succeed? Unconventional Strategies for Achieving Personal Mastery in Business and Life. Love that. And I said another one is Happiness at Work. Be resilient, motivated, and successful no matter what. Doesn't that sound awesome? So anyway, welcome, Srikumar. It's a delight to have you here. We've just been having so much fun chatting. So tell us. So welcome to the Joyful Youth Summit and for sharing your expertise. Thank you.
My pleasure to be with you, Catherine.
Oh, wonderful. So, Srikumar, work is a big part of everybody's life. And I haven't had this conversation with anybody else on the summit. So I'm wondering, what drew you to focus on, helping people be happy at work?
Uh, Actually, Catherine, I didn't focus on helping people be happy at work. I focused on helping people be happy, period. I
Ah,
really don't make a distinction between work life and personal life. You can't go around saying, the dog barks when I come home, my wife and I don't get along, I barely see my children, even my mistress is having an affair, but I'm doing great at work. It doesn't work that way. You have one life, not a work life and a home life, and either it's working or it's not. So I focus on helping people find their center. And when they do, the results are amazing, both at work and at home.
Oh, I love that. That center is so important. So this isn't one of our questions, but how do you, is there a simple way that we can find, how does one find their center?
Well, let's put it this way. Most of us believe we're living in a real world and stuff is happening to us. And what I would like everyone to realize is that we're not living in a real world, we're living in a construct. It's as though if you've seen the Matrix, we're all living in the Matrix. Only we constructed it ourselves. It wasn't built by an alien civilization out to enslave us. We built it. We built it with the mental models we hold and the mental chatter we entertain. And this is actually hugely liberating because if you're living in a real world and you don't like it, you're screwed.
Mhm.
Grin and enjoy it. But if you're living in a real world as opposed to the real world, then it's very liberating because if it's not working for you, you can deconstruct the parts of it and come up with another a real world, and you keep doing that. And that's what my program is all about.
Mm, I love it. So basically, it's where if when I look at it as, or when all of us look at it as, this is a real world. And if I don't like this one, if it's not working to the way I want it to, well, then I have the power to change it.
Yes. You have the power to deconstruct the parts of it that are not working and put it together again.
Oh,
Do that over and over again to different aspects of your life.
so that's where the creating comes in.
Yes.
So we're always constantly creating and
We are creating the world we live in. Yes.
okay, and then what do we do? Like if we don't like it, or if it's not working to our satisfaction, or we're not happy, let's say, basically we've created, and what happens when we've created something and we've been happy for a while, and then it doesn't seem to work. It doesn't seem to fulfill us anymore. It's what do you
Deconstruct and create it again. You're always reinventing yourself.
do?
Always. Every day.
And I think that's really important to mention because I'm one of those people that have, it looks like I jumped from job to job to job to job. And it wasn't that. It was just, I was basically what you're saying is I was reconstructing my life to make it fit for me in a way that gave me more joy and happiness.
Yes.
So that's actually, I'm not saying I'm better than anyone, but we all have the power to do that. And so we don't have to stay in our jobs in a stressful job or working because any situation really, if it's causing us stress and overwhelm.
Only I believe that jobs don't cause us stress. We cause ourselves stress.
Right.
So, you can be in any job and be perfectly at ease. And if you find that a job is not necessarily right for you, perfectly okay to move. But move from a sense of peace and a sense of gratitude, and that's eminently doable.
Definitely. And that was one thing I always said, but it really is you that peace and gratitude because you're grateful you have that job. It's been serving a purpose for that length of time. And then that peace sense where you've made your peace with it. It's like you don't want to like leave with residual anger or frustration or whatever. Because you're basically, then wouldn't you just carry it to the next place?
Yes. Yes, you would.
Right. So that's why I think for our viewers to remember to you can change things, but you can change anything, but before you do it, really be at peace and in gratitude about it.
Correct.
Because those are all gifts.
Correct.
Okay. I love it. I love it. So tell us more about your creativity and personal mastery program. I'm really fascinated by that.
Okay. I created that course because I needed it for myself. I was passing through a period of life where I felt I was stagnating and not getting anywhere. Now, all my life, I'd been doing a lot of reading, spiritual biography, mystical autobiography that would take me to a very nice place. And I came back to the real world and it sucked. And I remember thinking of all of this. I'd been doing a lot of reading, spiritual biography, mystical autobiography, took me to a very nice place. And if they didn't help me come to terms with that peace when I was in the real world, then they were useless. But somehow I knew that wasn't true. I knew it was very valuable. I hadn't figured out how to make use of it. So then my idea was, why don't I create a course which takes the teachings of the world's great masters, strips them of religious, cultural, and other connotations, and adapts them so that they're acceptable to intelligent people in a post-industrial society. And the thought of doing something like that made me come alive.
Oh, of course, because it's that passion. Because here you took all these readings that nurtured you and filled you up, but you transformed them, let's say, or you reconstructed them or whatever you wanted to, and put them in a format that people can actually, they're more accessible, they're digestible, they're usable without the spiritual.
Exactly.
They still are spiritual. You and I both know that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But somehow, why is it that we don't want to take it as spiritual? I don't
know. I mean, that the word has heavy connotations, and some people have a knee-jerk instinctive reaction against it. I've taught at many of the top business schools in the world, and it isn't appropriate for me to talk about things which are spiritual or religious. So I do mention at the start that I've drawn my teachings from the world's greatest masters. And after that, I don't mention it again. But people come to my program because they've heard about it and they find it works. I don't tell them, believe this or do this. I simply say, hey, obviously, whatever you're doing is not working for you. Why don't you try this and see how it works in your life? And that's how they move from skeptic to believer to evangelist. It really does work. How could it not work given the source that I've drawn my material from?
Right, because if you've taken it from the ancient sacred texts and so forth, wherever they're from, that there's a high energy, there's a high pure vibration in those materials, and so it's lovely that your role, perhaps, and purpose is to really be not a translator, but in a way a translator to make the language appropriate, accessible. A conduit.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite words.
Yes.
You know, it really is that you've been a conduit for this. So can you give us some examples of how, maybe some of the practices or the techniques that are in your program? You can just, I mean, I know it's a whole program, so we obviously can't talk about them all, but just something that maybe our viewers could, you know, learn a little bit more about what you share. So if they wanted to take your...
Well, I'll give you several things. For
Okay.
example, there are a number of people who find it very difficult to go to sleep at night. And the principal reason we can't go to sleep is because our mental chatter is running amok. Now, all of us spend a disproportionate amount of mental energy on the 2, 3, or 4 things which are wrong in our lives. More precisely, on the 2, 3, or 4 things that we have arbitrarily decided is wrong in our life. And it might not actually be wrong at all, but we decide that they're wrong, and then we fret about it. And we completely ignore the 40, 50, 60 things which are pretty damn good about our lives. Flip it around. Consciously acknowledge all the stuff which is really, really, really worthwhile in your life that other people would, swap places with you in a heartbeat for. Actually acknowledge that, and don't just acknowledge it, be grateful for that. This is not an intellectual exercise, so you can't make a checklist and say good health, check, food to eat, check, roof over our head, check. You have to actually feel gratitude as opposed to think gratitude. So if you're a type A live in the head person, and most persons who take my program are type A live in the head persons, and it may take some while before you get to the experiencing rather than the thinking. Persist until you can do that. And when you do, and do it last thing at night, you find that sleep is not a problem. You fall asleep effortlessly, you are much more refreshed. And when you get up in the morning, don't go immediately to the space of, oh my God, there's too much to do and I don't have enough time to do it all. Instead, go back to that space of appreciation and gratitude. Now, this is a first step because you begin by being grateful for something, but whatever you're grateful for can be taken away, like you're grateful for good health and you get hit by a truck and become a quadriplegic. It doesn't really matter, because eventually what I would like is for everybody to have a default emotional domain of gratitude, not gratitude for something, but just gratitude.
Oh, I love that.
That is eminently doable. You just have to work your way towards it.
Right. It's something where you're grateful for it, but when you really start to feel gratitude, I mean, I've written about this in my own work, where gratitude to me is like M&Ms, eating M&Ms or popcorn or something like that, where once you start on that track of gratitude, you can't stop, because you say, oh, well, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful for my family, blah, 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 blah. And it just keeps, continuing on, and you really start to feel that sense of gratitude, and then love comes in, and it's just that sense of wholeness, and then it switches to joy. It's like, to me, it's like gratitude is the fastest way to change any mood.
Yes. Absolutely, yes. So what I would like is for everybody who is listening and everybody in the world to truly experience gratitude, because when you're being grateful, you're not bemoaning your fate, you're not blaming somebody else, you're not angry. All of the stuff that we read about in the headlines would not be there anymore if people were sincerely grateful, as opposed to sniveling, angry, selfish clods.
Oh, I love that, because it's so true. I mean, I know I've experienced years ago when I was, majorly depressed. I was not grateful for being depressed, and yet now it's like I'm so great. I am grateful because that helped me to come to this place where I can experience joy. If I hadn't been, in depression and anxiety and stress, I wouldn't know what the opposite is.
True. Very true.
So we have to have those different perspectives and pictures so that we can really, truly see that, literally, to me, everything is a gift.
Yes.
And I'm sure in the spiritual teachings that you've read, it really is all a gift. It's all our choice anyway.
Yes, it is. Very definitely.
Oh, wonderful. It just feels so fun to talk with you, because we're so aligned in our beliefs. It just makes it really easy. And so I think you've already alluded to this, but maybe you can point it out, emphasize it perhaps. And that's because we mentioned about your blog that you've written recently on your webpage about what do people do when life throws them a curveball. Their child is having trouble in college, or someone in their family is sick, or a person in their family transitions, a foreclosure, loss of a job. What do you recommend then?
See, what happens, Catherine, is that we live in the human predicament. And as long as we live in the human predicament, stuff will happen.
Mm-hmm.
There will be serious illness and death. There will be problems in relationships. There will be financial setbacks. There will be business reverses. It's part and parcel of being in the human predicament. So when that happens, simply recognize that there is stuff out there which happens which is beyond your control. You think you have control, you try your level best. All our life, what we're really trying to do is we're trying to control something.
Mm-hmm.
And we think the way to control is to come up with a good plan and execute well and work really hard. And if we do that, we'll get the outcome that we want, and everything will be fine. And the short answer is we can do everything we want, but it's not necessarily clear that the outcome will be under our control. In fact, the outcome is not under our control. Mm-hmm. So we do not have control, but we have the illusion of control.
Right.
And because it is an illusion, sooner or later it breaks down. And if you think you have control and then you recognize it's an illusion, you fall apart. But if you begin by accepting that you do not have control, you'll try your level best. And, you've got education, you've got life experience, you've got a mind. So you're going to utilize them in the best way to try to achieve a particular outcome. But you recognize that the outcome is outside your control. So you invest in the process, not the outcome, because the outcome is beyond your control. So you don't waste any emotional energy saying, have I reached it or have I not? You simply say, what is the best that I can do to reach the outcome that I would like? And if I do, wonderful. If I don't, wonderful. So my child is desperately sick. She may die tomorrow. I will do what I can. I'll seek out the best physicians. I'll find out what's the best treatment. I'll work with her there. And I'll do everything I possibly can. And if I succeed, super. But if I don't, then, I'll put it down as there are some things that I cannot accept that this is good, but I will not let it make me dysfunctional. And I'll wait till I have a higher level of wisdom where I can see how this fits in.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I love, especially that piece about having that. It's not always in our understanding. We may not know, like we say, hindsight is 20/20. It may be years later, like for myself, or never, or not even in this, lifetime. We won't.
Not in this lifetime, yes.
Right. We won't know what the purpose is, but that's part of our evolution, our growing to these things. These things, to me, in my mind, they're always gifts because they make us stronger. Or they make it. They help us ask for help. They teach us something. They, whatever it is, there's always a gift in them.
Yes.
So for me, it always makes it easier if I look for the gift, or I say, okay, make me laugh. I'll say to my divine friends, make me laugh. There's got to be humor. Like I had a car accident on the Bay Bridge a number of years ago. And I said, okay, make me laugh. What's the humor in this? And they shared, well, you always wanted to get rid of that bumper sticker. You don't like those bumper stickers on it anyway. So that's going to be gone. I cracked up. It didn't matter what happened because it was like they made me laugh. I'm like, oh, yay. I don't have these bumper stickers anymore. That was what I wanted. So it was a perfect gift. Mm-hmm. But it was, the blessing, of course, is to be able to see it that way, which totally is a blessing. So this is just...
That is a cultivable gift, Catherine. You can learn to be like that. But first you have to have the intention that you want to learn to be like that, and then you can work your way towards it. And that's what my program is all about.
Perfect. And I'm glad you brought us back to that, because that is something that I have had to learn. And I love that your program helps... Basically, it sounds like it gives people these tools that are spiritual practices in a way, but in the real tangible world that they can actually use. Because we all have, we're taught as children to be grateful, to say thank you, and so, or at least to say thank you. It takes a while to really learn gratitude, I suppose. But it sounds absolutely fascinating, marvelous,
Yes.
and something I would like to know, definitely look into. But I know you have a free gift for all of our viewers. So can you please tell us about that?
Yes. The free gift is an article I wrote, and it stemmed out of my experience at Columbia Business School, where the dean of the business school or the coordinator of the doctorate program, I've forgotten who, basically told us we ought to spend, not waste our time at Columbia. We really should go and network and get to know people. Now, over the years, about 70% of the people who attend my program feel very uncomfortable at the thought of networking. And I can understand that because the way most people understand networking, it's how do I find out who could potentially help me and ingratiate myself with that person? And that's fundamentally a self serving attitude.
Right.
So there is actually a method of networking whereby you can build a very long lasting and web of deep relationships, and you never have to do anything you feel uncomfortable about. And it's very powerful. And I've outlined that in an article, and I'll be glad to share that with any of your readers who are interested.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because I mean, anyone in business, even I know for myself, that's one of those things that you want to resist doing. It's like one of the last things. Oh, I have to go to this networking event.
I know.
Seriously, right? Oh, you make faces, and you kind of you got to get dressed up, and you've got to go be on, and it's not. It's like I found, and I know with even. Like looking for people for the speakers for this summit, that was all networking. And it was fun, but it was a completely different way because it was a sharing and an opportunity to help each other and support each other. So when we come from that place of service and support and and generosity, it makes all the difference in the world.
That's exactly correct.
Oh, awesome. I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there anything else you'd love to share before we close?
Now, I also run programs in New York, and my capstone program is called Creativity and Personal Mastery. It was among the most popular and highest rated courses at many of the world's top business schools. I now offer it independently in New York, London, and San Francisco. And if anybody is interested in knowing more, the syllabus and other details are on my website, and you're going to have a link to that.
So. Exactly. Yeah, they will. They definitely will have a link to that. And it's something that if they want more about this and they want to be, or even if they're already on a spiritual path and want to combine what they're learning from their own practices with what you've learned and already created, it's like, why reinvent the wheel? Right? Exactly. So it's already there. So thank you for this lovely conversation. My heart is definitely filled with gratitude. It is. It's been so fun. So thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. It's been tremendous fun doing that. And I wish you all the best and have a terrific weekend.
Okay. Thank you. Hold on a second.